Greetings everybody, welcome back to the channel. Eric's UK here with another RPG a Day 2021. Again, it's a day late due to a mixture of work and not feeling very well last night. I'm doing 2 vids this morning. So to catch up, day 14, which should have been yesterday, Saturday, and I'm going to touch on the word limits today. This is only going to be a short vid. Because again, we've got a selection of words which is very difficult to do. But I thought limits would probably be a good sort of mini topic to cover. The only time I've ever really sort of encountered limits on what things you can do, and I don't mean this in game, was for a very brief stint doing some live action roleplay, LARP. I played the Vampire the Masquerade live action game over in Cambridge for about a year, back in about 2000. Made some good friends at the time, and I did some kind of little one-off things with a friend of mine, Pete, who was into a UK-based live-action fantasy group called the Lorien Trust. I never went to any of those events, but he did some sort of like little LARP things for us up here. And one of the things in LARP is to do with limits. So, for example, although you are live role-playing and you are the character as opposed to just sitting around a table playing, there are certain things you don't do. You don't touch other people. You don't hit people. Right, live action roleplay with weapons is kind of a bit different because they're kind of like latex, or that they're at least protected. But generally, you don't go up and smack people with weapons. But the general thing is to understand and respect people's private space, their personal space, which is probably a good thing, really, because you kind of know your friends, but you clap shoulders or whatever. But you're often role playing in LARP things with complete strangers you don't know. But there are limits that can likewise be used in tabletop role playing, but it's kind of different because you don't generally touch the other players, but in sort of convention play, or if you're playing with new people who you don't really know that well, there are certain limits that you need to do, and this is generally in topics and maybe scenes you put into a game. The most often used one in conversation with this is anything of like a sexual nature, because you don't know what somebody's personal life experiences are, or how, to put it in just a very easy term, how prudish someone might be. Likewise, if you don't know somebody, how much emphasis do you put on the violence or the assault in combat or in a roleplay scene? You kind of need to know your players before you can utilize certain topics or I was going to say genres, but that's not right. Instances, because as I say, you don't know what somebody's past experiences have been and what their triggers are. Now, it's kind of different with the people that you regularly roleplay. I know that with my gaming group and the people I game with, there is nothing that is off limits. All right, we don't go silly. We don't, you're not going to have rape scenes or, graphic whatevers. But we know that we could touch on topics in game and certain scenes or what have you that maybe some groups wouldn't want. So it comes down to knowing your players, and if you don't know them, obey those sort of limits. Don't put anything too much in that you aren't sure will go down well. Or at the very least, speak to people beforehand, before you put something into a game or come up with it, to see what people's limits are, what they do and don't want. Because you don't want to have somebody introduced to the hobby and then walk away because, you know, they suddenly think that this is a game full of certain dark materials and what have you. So having limits is a good thing until you know what your players and your group's limits are. Anyway, that's just my thoughts for today on the word limits. It also, I suppose, applies to safety, which was the original word of the day. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing your comments and the other videos out there. Until next time, take care, guys. Good gaming.